Hi. So, I've told the story several times, and I think it's going to be easier if I record the story so that I can send it on to people. And of course, this is going to be posted on Facebook. You're probably seeing it there, most of you anyway. Trigger warning a little bit. I'm going to tell all the details of the story. It's not that bad, but you guys know me. So if you know me and I'm saying it's not that bad, maybe it's bad for you. So maybe if you're a little more faint at heart and your partner is stronger, have your partner watch it and maybe relay the details that they think are good for you to hear. Okay, so Friday night, I came home from work at Sopranos in Aruba. I drive home myself. I live alone on a second floor apartment with concrete stairs that are covered in smooth tile, about 20 stairs straight up. There's no curvature, no angle. Okay. There's a banister on the side, but it's not a handrail, okay? It's a banister. It's like 6 inches wide. So, it's not like a handrail. It's a banister. I remember going home. Of course, I was drinking at work, but I remember going home. I don't remember the fall. I had my guitar in my right hand and probably my little backpack in my other hand and a beer in my left hand probably as well. And because we found the beer bottle at the bottom of the stairs the next day, basically. Anyway, I must have fallen with everything in my hands, guitar included, which is probably how I got that pretty bruise. I'm fairly certain that's from the guitar, but some scraping here also, which I believe was how I was holding on to the left banister, trying to catch myself, at least in some way. There are newel posts, about this big, round newel posts both at the top and the bottom of the banister. So I'm fairly certain that what happened was slipped, lost my grip, fell with my back towards the banister, so facing the opposite wall, and then I bounced the right side of my face off of the top newel post. They asked me whether or not I'd lost consciousness in the hospital, and I said, I really don't know. I'm now fairly certain that I was unconscious on the ground, and I don't know for how long, but the way that there was a line of blood that was about 2 inches thick and maybe about a foot long. So I'm fairly certain that this is where I was cut open here, and it's actually below my eyebrows. For those that don't know, I just had my eyebrows tattooed, microbladed about a month and a half ago in Amsterdam. And I was really pissed because I was like, God damn it, I just ruined my fucking $350 tattooed eyebrows. Anyway, of course, that's where my brain went. Anyway, so I don't remember being unconscious on the ground or waking up and going back to my apartment, but I did. I changed my clothes. I don't remember that either. I do remember laying on the bed and kind of rolling around. When we came back the next day, we basically threw away all the pillows. Luckily, I didn't really get anything onto the mattress. Thank goodness for that. Something I didn't ruin. Anyway, I remember laying on the bed and sort of being, I guess, in pain. I don't register it that way, but I realized that I couldn't see out of my right eye. Like I was doing this and realizing that I couldn't see. Now, I'm sure this is a combination of alcohol, head trauma, physical trauma, concussion. At that point, when I realized I couldn't see out of my right eye, I realized that I had to call somebody. 911, of course, was my first instinct. It's what we teach our children from, birth. Of course, several of my friends have said, Jen, why the hell didn't you not call us? I didn't think about that. I wasn't in that right frame of mind. So I called the ambulance 911 at 4:45 in the morning. I pretty much think the incident happened at around 2-ish, between 2 and 3. It's 4:45 when I called the first time, and they said all the ambulances were busy. I said, okay. I called back at 5. I only know this because I looked at my call log in my phone. Called back at 5. Same story. I waited till 6. And I called back again, and I do remember being pretty belligerent and hysterical and crying and saying, I cannot fucking see out of my right eye. I'm fucking bleeding, and I need help. I need you to send somebody. Please send me a police officer. Send me somebody. I need help. and hung up at 6 in the morning. I was so afraid that I would lay down and die in my own apartment there with no one around. No one would be looking for me because I was off the next day. The next day was Saturday, so the office below me would be closed. Also, my entrance is kind of around the corner. I mean, I was probably laying totally out of sight of the road, out of sight of almost everything. Anyway, so I was so afraid that I would die in my apartment before anyone found me that I walked back down the stairs and I laid down in my driveway until I curled up in the fetal position in my driveway outside of the apartment in Aruba until 2 police and ambulance came. And the ambulance took me to the hospital where they did a CAT scan, and I saw an ophthalmologist, and the CAT scan showed multiple orbital fractures, multiple sinus fractures, and a skull fracture, what's called a basal skull fracture. Obviously a mild concussion, obviously just trauma. It's a trauma is a different thing, and it causes emotional and physical repercussions. We'll see for how long. Anyway, so around 7 in the morning is when I was taken to the hospital, and at around 1:30 I was released, and they basically said, you just have to go home. You have to go home. We can't do anything else for you here. I booked a commercial flight, the only one I could get a seat on, and I paid $80 extra to get a window seat instead of sitting in the middle. God. But I had to go through Philadelphia. So, and yes, I get it. A couple friends said take some decongestants. You know, you've got sinus stuff going on. Unfortunately, those of you who I know who are nurses and doctors know that that's not going to help me in a case of this trauma with blood and bones and things like that in my sinus cavity. So as we went up in the airplane, my ears actually corrected themselves, and I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, this is going to be okay. I'm going to get home. Mind you, I've had nothing stronger than a Tylenol. They didn't even give me paracetamol. I actually had my manager go buy me a box of paracetamol. They prescribed, it doesn't matter, but 2 things that I am not taking, because when I was in the hospital in Philadelphia, they were like, yeah, you don't need those 2 things. So that's interesting to me also. They also didn't warn me at the hospital in Aruba that I should be watching out for clear fluid to be coming out of my ears or nose. That's spinal fluid. I have a skull fracture. They didn't tell me that. I mean, they told me I was safe to fly, but, you know, mostly, again, what else would I have done? I had to leave and get home and see a specialist as soon as possible for the fact that these bone fragments from the orbital fractures are on the back of my eye. So they're sitting on the nerve, and that's what's causing me not to have any vision. Though, again, like I said on my Facebook Live, if you look, my eyes go everywhere. You can't tell at all that it's blind in the right eye. So cosmetically, that's nice to know, I suppose. So now the flight to Philly, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is awesome. I'm like home free. I just have to get through this day. It's going to be rough, but I'm taking my paracetamol and I'm going to be okay. I considered asking the flight, basically, if anybody had a spare Vicodin, but I didn't get the chance to do that because as we descended, I was in excruciating pain that I've not given birth. So moms out there, I've never felt a 9 out of 10. Anybody else who's been through these are my first broken bones. This is my first inpatient hospital stay, and now I'm gonna probably have one more to have plastic surgery to repair this zygomatic arch, but we'll get to that. So now we're descending, and I'm in excruciating pain, and I press the button. I'm a nurse's kid. We don't press the button, so I press the button. And funny enough, one of the flight attendants was also a nurse. She said, you don't have to tell me what happened, but, do you know what you have wrong with you? I said, honestly, I'm not trying to be glib about domestic violence, but I really did fall down the stairs. That's not a cover-up story. That being said, yes, I have multiple fractures, orbital sinus, skull fracture, and now I was having massive amounts of pain, behind my ears, and I couldn't hear. It's like I just could never clear my ears, but more. It was like stabbing pains back here. And so she said, I think we should have paramedics meet you at the plane. I said, yeah, I think you're right. Let's get me checked out here. Still, of course, thinking that maybe it would be like check me out and I'd get on my next flight. I don't know. But they literally walked me down the ramp, like not back into the building, but like down to the ground, into the ambulance, to the hospital. Excuse me. So now I'm entering Philadelphia Hospital. It was Presbyterian Penn, part of the University of Pennsylvania Health System. So that was encouraging. The two ladies behind me on the plane actually had seen me at Sopranos Friday night. I met some other people in the airport also who had seen me on Friday night, which is, God, I love my life. I'm very lucky. So the ladies behind me were like, don't worry, don't worry. Philadelphia's got really, really great health system. You're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. And it was really sweet. So we go to Philly Hospital, trauma workup. Again, I have no brain damage, no neck damage, no back damage, no other broken bones other than these multiple fractures. The hearing issue the descent resulted in me having blood and fluid behind my eardrums, but my eardrums were intact. Yeah, my brain's intact, my hearing is intact. Those are the most important things to me right now, absolutely, the most important things. So, okay, 2 days in the hospital in Philly. Finally, I'm getting good drugs. Thank you, God. I mean, there is a reason, morphine and Dilaudid, and I'm on OxyContin right now. I'm also got some muscle relaxers and some sedatives, but I haven't needed the sedatives. I've been sleeping okay. This morning I woke up a couple times. We'll see what tomorrow brings. I couldn't fly home. So they were suggesting Amtrak, which was like 22 hours. And my sweet friend, Rick Lucas, thank you, Rick, offered to give me the Amtrak ticket because he uses Amtrak a lot in the corridor area, I think is the answer to that. So anyway, at that point, I had multiple friends reaching out to me. Thank you, Desiree, also, who said, you are not taking an Amtrak. I will drive out, stay the night, and bring you back, whatever. She was actually the last driver on the trip. So my friends John and Sheila, who live outside of Pittsburgh, actually Wheeling, West Virginia, they drove all the way to Philadelphia to pick me up, took me back to Pittsburgh area where I was met by George and Karen O'Leary. Kisses and shout outs to all of these people who, I actually know their son, Aaron, a little better, but I now know George and Karen a lot better too. They come to Aruba every year, and Aaron and I have been good friends for a while, and Aaron couldn't get the day off of work, and he just was sick about it, and his parents said, oh my gosh, what can we do? We're going to help Jen. So they did. They took me from, again, Pittsburgh area, essentially to Indianapolis. And then my girl, Desi, who I've loved and known for 20 years, and is going to do some Reiki sessions on me on Tuesday, which I'm really excited about. She came to pick me up in Indy with her little puppy, Penny, and we drove back together. And I really was glad to have had all of that quality time with those people that I got to have that quality time with. And yeah, so here I am back in Chicago, and I'm on the road to healing. I've got doctor's appointments. There's more to be made. There's a lot to do. Also going to see a psychiatrist, addiction specialist. It's been recommended, and I don't think they're wrong. I think I've maybe drank myself into my own version of alcoholic. And, when I was functional, because I still was seeing some slips. So, yeah, for all of you guys who've been, so graciously buying me drinks all of these years, thank you so very much. Mwah. Not going to be able to take those anymore. I'm going to just have to ask for money in the jar. So, with that, that's the end of the story of the fall. And, again, thanks for all of your love and support. I really do feel it from all of you everywhere. See you back behind the piano soon.